Hey, Restoration City, it's John. I wanted to take a minute and share with you our vision, our hopes for this year's Christmas year-end offering. I think many of you know the backstory for this, that back in December of 2020, in the midst of all the chaos and confusion of COVID, we made a decision as a church that we wanted to approach year-end giving a little bit differently than we had in the past. We really wanted to prioritize funding external ministries that were serving outside the walls of our church in our city and around the globe. And you responded so generously to that, not just in December of 2020, but every December since then. And I am really excited to tell you what we are hoping God is going to do through our community between now and December 31st, the end of this month. Altogether, we are trusting God for $85,000 in one-time giving during the month of December. And our intent would be to give the first 40,000 of that away to ministries outside of Restoration City Church, and want you to know how it is that we would use those resources as the Lord provides them. We would give $6,000 to the Summit Collaborative. That's our family of churches that we're a part of. That money would go to running the residency program, but also funding church plants in the US, North America, and around the world. So we just see that as a direct investment in the spread of the gospel, a direct investment in church planting. We would also give $20,000 to a refugee resettlement program that we are currently engaged in as a church. Some of you probably don't know this, that we are actively right now in the process of resettling two families of Afghan refugees who have come here to the DC area, and a number of you from the church have been involved in setting up their apartments, providing supplies, getting kids registered for school, navigating healthcare, trying to help parents find jobs, all of the things that go into being resettled into a brand new country, being resettled into a brand new city. Our commitment as a church is that we want to stay with these families in terms of providing for their rent until they're able to stand on their own 2 feet financially. So when we look at that over the coming year, we think that's going to cost about $20,000 to do that. We also would like to give $6,000 to our friends at Three Roots International. Three Roots does incredible work serving the rural poor in Ethiopia. One of the things they do is operate a school in a local community that otherwise wouldn't have access to educational resources, and our church has been partnered with that school for a while. Currently, the school has absolutely no electricity. There hasn't been the infrastructure to do it, there hasn't been the government permits to do it, just wasn't a possibility. But it feels like God is bringing a lot of things together, because all of a sudden the infrastructure is there and the government is about to permit the project, and for $6,000 we can fund that. We can bring electricity to a community of students who currently doesn't have it, which you don't even need me or anybody else to tell you what a game changer that would be for that school and for those students. One of the other things that's happened over the past year is that God has really given us an increased burden for the incarcerated population and their families, which is why we are partnering with Prison Fellowship in their Angel Tree program. The idea is really simple. We want to be able to provide Christmas gifts for 100 children who have one or more parents who are currently incarcerated, right? Just a simple way of ensuring that those kids are going to have a gift under the tree on Christmas morning, but also a chance to say that God is for them, that God cares about them, that God hasn't forgotten about him, and that his church is here to love them. So for $3,000, we can do that for 100 kids. By the way, crazy to think that 1 out of every 49 kids in America right now has at least one parent who's currently incarcerated. So there's a massive need, and we want to step into that. Finally, through our Summit Collaborative family, we are in relationship with a church that is currently meeting right in the central business district of Nairobi, Kenya. They're called Mercy Church Nairobi. God is using them in a really incredible way, and one of the things they've done in their first year as a church plant is open up a ministry that they're calling Mercy House. The idea of Mercy House is to get homeless women and their children off the streets of Nairobi so that they aren't exploited, forced into prostitution, human trafficking, any of the things that could so easily happen. It's a shelter place for them to heal, to recover, and to begin to plan a different future for their lives. One of the things they want to do at Mercy House is to get a little plot of land that the women living in the house can garden as a way of giving them an opportunity to provide for their own children and to be a part of the work that God is doing at Mercy House and the work that God is doing in their lives. And for $5,000, we can help make that a very real possibility. So you add all that up and that gets to $40,000. In many ways, that's the heart of what we are trying to do. At the same time, we are still trying to come out of COVID as a church. We're so excited for everything that God is doing, but when we look at our budget for this year, we're trusting God for about $45,000 in one-time giving that would just go to support our operating budget. So believe me when I say this is our attempt as a church to walk by faith, not to walk by sight. I understand what a massive undertaking this is. So please join me in praying that God is going to move powerfully through our church this month. And as He leads you to participate, I would encourage you to give either through our app or online. But if this is your church home, I'd love to have you be a part of this. Whatever that looks like for you, that we could come together in January and celebrate what God has done through Restoration City for the sake of His name in our church, in our city, and around the world. Merry Christmas. Love you guys.